Liam Williams' fitness, is that 100%? How much training has he been able to do?
He took he trained on Tuesday, just a bit of non-contact. We had a couple of other players that had a couple of cuts and stitches who were in the same boat, but he's fully training today, so he's 100%.
Overall, it's been remarkably consistent side that you've been able to put out through the Six Nations, obviously apart from the experimentation against Italy.
Yeah, a few changes from that first game. You know, someone like Thomas Williams has been a little bit unlucky, been involved in that first game and then picking up an injury, and so we felt that it's pretty hard to change a team that's been winning, and particularly if you've got a chance to go for a Grand Slam, you don't want to miss out on that opportunity. So we've stuck with the same 23.
Warren, your captain Alan Wynne will win his 134th cap, moves him level with Gethin Jenkins. Sum up his contribution in your mind, not just in this tournament, but over the last 11 years since you've been coach.
Yeah, well, I think there's been no doubt he's been a very important member of the team and the forward pack. He's matured gracefully, I presume, I would like to say, over the years. He was a bit of, in the early years he was a bit hot-headed, a bit temperamental, and he was the player that started the fights at trainings and stuff, because that's what a competitor is. But we just want to say what a fantastic job he's done this year in terms of leading the team in the autumn. And I think the players, he has a huge amount of respect from the players, and he's in a really good place at the moment. And I know he was thinking about potentially when he was calling it time on the game, but he's feeling pretty good at the moment, and so Wales might get a few more years out of him. But he's, like I said, he's been very important to us. He's a player, doesn't pick up too many injuries, and he's been a constant. So he's pretty valuable.
Given the weather we've had recently, the forecast isn't good for Saturday either. How significant is the decision over the roof, and what do you expect Joe Schmidt to do?
We haven't heard definitively, but our understanding is that they want the roof open, which it's not a concern for us. My only concern is, if it is pouring down with rain, then we do have a responsibility to the game for a spectacle. I think for the end game there's nearly 9 million people watching it on TV, and I don't see the point in having the opportunity to when you can close the roof, to potentially play in terrible weather conditions. So, but that's a decision that's out of my hands. I mean, both teams have to agree for it to be closed, so that means basically the away team decides what happens in our stadium. And I've made a number of comments in the past about that it's our stadium and we should be able to do what we want with it. But if it's not something that we've spoken about all week, and we just presumed that Ireland would be like England and ask for the roof to be open. There's no doubt when the roof's closed it does create a bit more of an atmosphere in terms of the noise and stuff, and some teams are able to handle that, and some teams can't handle that extra noise and the pressure and the what the crowd can deliver from a home point of view. But saying that, I thought the atmosphere for the England game was up there as good as I've ever heard, particularly the last 20 minutes when that crowd got behind us, and they were absolutely amazing. And if they can do that again on Saturday, it'd be brilliant.
Warren, only a handful of the players have been here before in terms of a Grand Slam attempt in the last match. How do you get them to play what's in front of them rather than what everyone else outside is building up as a big occasion?
Oh, I think we've spoken all week about embracing it and not running away from it, and you get opportunities that come along in life, and you've got to take them with both hands. And said to that group of players, you may never get a chance like this again, and you don't want to let those opportunities pass you by. And I haven't seen a group of players this motivated before, this excited about playing in a Grand Slam game, and wanting to win and wanting to put that jersey on. And play for themselves and their families, and in particular Wales as a whole, and the fans and the public, and what it means to Wales as a country. These guys are incredibly motivated. I know Ireland want to come and spoil the party, but we've got a chance in reality of probably finishing first or third, and Ireland probably second or third. So we know what's at stake, and the stake and the prize is massive.
Final Six Nations game for yourself with Wales, as you said. What's the emotion like for you and your fellow coaches?
I think it's something we're not. It's not about us. It's about the players for this weekend. We've done all the work that we can, and Thursday and Friday is about the players performing, and I get more of a buzz out of seeing the excitement on players and seeing players celebrate afterwards. That's what I want to see. And I think for us, it's about trying to stay level-headed over the next couple of days, be concise in what we deliver to the players, to not get too emotional. But I can guarantee you, if we do win on Saturday, there will be plenty of emotion afterwards.
Warren, are Ireland, in your opinion, a little bit off the peak they were a few months ago? No,
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty comprehensive performance by them against France. We all realise how important this year is. It's a big Six Nations, but everyone in the back of their minds is thinking about later in the year and the preparations for that. So sometimes that can be a little bit of a distraction. But I thought Ireland against France were outstanding, and they're the number 2 team in the world, and they've been consistent over the last number of years. The reigning champions, and they're knocking on the door again. So look, they're an incredibly tough team, but they've got a 6-day turnaround. They're having to travel to us. We've had a good week, and we're pretty motivated and upbeat about our chances.
You talked before about the keen rivalry between these two sides. Will part of their motivation, do you think, to stop you achieving?
You're part of the Irish motivation?
Yeah.
Oh, I think the rivalries come about because of how well the players know each other, and they play each other on a constant basis, and the fact that the Irish provinces have been so successful, and Ireland as a team have been incredibly successful. So that creates its own rivalry. And when you see opposition players getting success, you want to emulate that, and you want to get one up on them, and that's the motivation that we feel. And there's no doubt they will be coming here trying to spoil our party, as I mentioned. And I think it's been one hell of a test match. It should be a great atmosphere, and we can't wait for kick-off on Saturday.
Rolled up the live part, please. Next part.
Wales have made a lot of tackles in this tournament, and that you guys are starting to look a bit tired. What's your reaction to that? And have you seen a tired team this week?
What the hell is Eddie Jones doing talking about our games?
I don't know.
He should be. If it was me, I'd be concentrating on playing Scotland. So I've got no comment on what Eddie Jones is talking about us. So I think if you probably have been looking at the stats, I think England have made a hell of a lot more tackles than we have in this tournament. So my advice to Eddie is just concentrate on the Scotland match.
And have you had to sort of change training a little bit this week? You obviously had Monday off and stuff to rest the bodies, but
we had a lighter Monday and a walkthrough, and we trained in the stadium on Tuesday, and we're training there this afternoon with the roof open. We trained with the roof closed on Tuesday because of the weather conditions, and so we're going to have the roof open this afternoon because there's plenty of water on our pitches. So we haven't really. It's been very similar to the prep that we had for England, which was a really good build up for that match, and very, very similar. We sort of kind of repeated the same format for that week as what we've done this week.
And in terms of the conditions that are expected, Conor Murray and Johnny Sexton are two players you know very well from the Lions. How important is it you stop them and they're kicking you?
Yeah, I think it was probably the same approach that we had again with England, and we put a lot of pressure on Ben Youngs and Owen Farrell, and Conor and Johnny are key. And when we've had success against Ireland in the past, is we've try to pressurise Johnny as much as we possibly can and shut his time and space down. There's no doubt that when he gets front foot ball, he controls the game exceptionally well, and we saw against England when we did put some pressure on Owen. We had some success from that. So very much part of the game. You look at opposition teams and look at where their strengths are, and you try and negate some of those strengths. And Johnny's the World Player of the Year. He's absolute world class, and we've got to try and not give him as much time on the ball and try not him dictate the game to us. We've got to be able to put him under pressure. But in saying that, they've got world class players all over the place, and they're able to keep the ball for long phases, and they build on momentum. Our discipline has to be pretty good on the weekend, because they try and squeeze you for penalties in terms of if they do get a penalty, they kick out, they'll drive the next line out, try and get another penalty kick to your 22, and then they'll build phase after phase and try and come away with points. And that's it's what they're incredibly good at doing. So we've got to make sure that we're prepared for that, and a big part of that has been really disciplined ourselves and not giving them too much of a set piece to be able to work off.
Warren, after that England win, you've mentioned the mental qualities of your side, and so you often go into big games and get them over the line. Can you comment on how you approach these massive games? Because you don't often lose it when it's all on the line, do you?
No, not very often, no. I pride myself on the record that I've had in big matches when it's really mattered, and I even get more of a buzz when people write us off, which has happened on a few occasions as well beforehand. It's about building belief and confidence in the players. We've worked in the down weeks. We've trained as hard as I've ever seen a team train. So we've put that training in the bank. There's no way that anyone's trained as hard as us in the Six Nations, and the players know that. And if they believe that, and you give them that confidence, and you talk about, we talk about the emotion, but you talk about those opportunities in life that come around, and never passing those moments up and taking them with both hands. You can really build on that momentum, sort of building into a game, and it's important, as I mentioned before, that the coaches are positive. We express that confidence and self-belief from ourselves and into the players and the expectations, and often with teams you get one team that wants it just a little bit more, and that's kind of the position that we've been in the past. And if you want something bad enough and you really believe it can happen, it often does.
What will you miss most of Six Nations occasions in Cardiff?
I'll miss that bus ride down Westgate Street. The fans, when you go along there, sort of hair raising, on the back of the neck sort of stuff, coming into the stadium. I've often spoke about the great thing about doing club rugby is that you get continuity, you get the preparation time, you get the opportunity to fail as you're trying things, and it sometimes doesn't affect the season. There's so much on, and so much in terms of international rugby, in terms of everything's under scrutiny, everything's looked at, but there's no bigger thrill than playing in front of a full house on a stadium when it's rocking, the national anthems and stuff. That's what drives you, and like I said, you're involved in the game as players and as coaches for big occasions. That's why you do the hard work, the training, and watching all the videos, late nights and stuff for big moments and big occasions, and that's what we get on Saturday.
Warren, talked about discipline earlier. England, you only conceded 3 penalties. Scotland goes there, seem to take against you from the start, and you struggle. Given Ireland's ability to score from lineouts and the tendency to do so, would you be having the chat with Angus Gardner before Saturday?
I've spoken to Angus already, yeah. So
what happened in Scotland?
we conceded 11 penalties, and which was disappointing. A couple of offsides, which were right. A couple of times we didn't roll away at the breakdown. I thought there was a couple that were a little bit tough as well. So I mean, normally in international rugby, if you're trying to keep an opposition team under 10 penalties, it's kind of the goal. The big thing for us, I thought our discipline against England was excellent, and as a result of that, you negate their starters from set piece. They would have, I suppose England would have spent 3 or 4 hours working on lineouts that week, and when you only get 4 lineouts in a game, you've probably wasted 2 or 3 hours of training. So, and that's what we have to be good at on Saturday. We speak about keeping the ball in play and not allowing Ireland a platform to work off, and a big part of that is making sure that our discipline is good. So I've had a chat to the referee about that, and said that we probably weren't at our best last week in terms of 2 or 3 penalties that we could have not conceded. So yeah, it's been a big focus for us this week.
What sort of challenge are you expecting from the Irish at the breakdown?
At the breakdown, they're always tough at the breakdown, and they compete. They've some guys that are very good on the ball. Rory Best is very good. Peter Amani, lots of turnovers. We understand that Tyg Burns probably going to start for them as well. So he was excellent for the Scarlets a couple of seasons ago. So there's a real threat at the breakdown. But we've been very happy with our breakdown work and our recycling rate, and being able to give our 9s and 10s some good front football. So it's an area that we work on every single training. It's so important facet of the game that breakdown, particularly on attack, has to be pretty accurate, and it's one area that we're pretty confident that we'll be able to hopefully negate some of their strengths. The big challenge for us is when they have the ball is how we deal with the players that latch on early. They're coming at you in 2s and 3s, and that's a real threat for us, because they come off 9 and they're able to keep the ball for long phases, and we've got to be able to, one, I said, keep our discipline, be patient defensively, and we've done that. I think in the past we've been pretty good against them when we've played here, and they've gone through long phases, and we've been able to negate that strength.
Final question, please, Andy.
How does this Wales squad match up with the Grand Slam squads of 2008 and 2012?
It's hard to. There's different individuals, and these individuals. I haven't seen a group this close and this tight for a long time, and probably in those other Grand Slams, we had some characters in the squad. We had some great players, but we had some individuals who were testing at times, but in a positive way. They added to the environment. But this group of players, and Rob Evans, I think, summed it up last week when he just said, there's not anyone in the squad that I wouldn't do something for or help out, and the message from me and the coaches and the staff this week is that we're here for you as players to do whatever it takes to get you prepared for Saturday. So whatever you need, whatever you want, we're here for you and to get you right for Saturday. We've had a couple of unusual requests, but we've been able to deal with those sort of things. So no, they're an incredibly tight group of boys, and it's definitely been a privilege to be involved with this current squad.
Thank you very much, everyone. Right.